Hello everyone, it's Diamond, and today we'll be continuing a what-if scenario that I recently covered. This video is called, What if Raditz took Gohan away? Part 2. Let's get this video to about 30 likes or higher. Subscribe to the channel. It helps me stay motivated to continue these videos. With the way I'm going with the story, I may or may not include a part 3, but let's find out just to see what happens in the story. But before we do that, let's give up a quick recap on the events of part 1. Raditz doesn't waste any time with his brother and leaves with Gohan. Before leaving, he tells him that he'll return back to Earth to see if Kakarot has made up his mind. Goku is enraged, but his friends tell him that they should stay and train in the time chamber, so that way they'll be ready when they arrive. Vegeta tells Nappa and Raditz to mold Gohan just like them before they arrive. Once their power has increased a bit, along with Gohan's, they're satisfied to go to Earth. The fighters arrive to the battlefield and are greeted by the Saiyans, and also with Gohan. With that, we're caught up with the story. The Z fighters, including Piccolo, are all set and ready to fight, as they make their stance to prepare for the Saiyans' attack. Raditz looks at Goku, and says if he's made his choice, along with calling him his little brother. Goku's friends are in shock to hear Raditz's comment. Goku assures them that he can't be his brother, and even if he is, it's not changing the fact that he needs to be stopped. Goku tells him to let Gohan go, and promises to Gohan that everything is alright, and to please make his way over to them. Gohan tries to make a step to go back to his father, but Nappa and Raditz have intimidated him into not going over. Before arriving, the two Saiyans made sure to scare Gohan into fighting for them, saying that if Goku doesn't join, then everything he knows and loves will be destroyed on Earth, and that they'll make the two of their lives even worse. They demand that Gohan fights at his best against the Z fighters, saying that they'll know if he's holding back. If he doesn't destroy one of them, they'll destroy him along with Goku. Gohan looks at them with a nervous look but stays in place. Vegeta takes a glance at Goku's power, saying that they could defeat Goku, but try to at least be on guard for something, since they're more than likely hiding their true power. Nappa wants to get rid of the fighters first. It wants to know if he can bring out the Cybermen. Vegeta says yes, as Nappa begins the plant. Nappa wants to at least test the waters to see if they're able to win against the Cybermen, and just as in canon, they're able to defeat them. As for Yamcha, instead of losing this time, he's able to defeat one. He tells him that he'll deal with the last remaining ones, and he ends up defeating all of them. Piccolo speaks out, saying that if that's all it takes, then they could just use 2% of their power to beat the Saiyans down. Raditz wants to know if he can face off with Piccolo, just so he can crush his spirit. Vegeta says that he doesn't have to ask, and to do what he likes, saying that he's just here for a show and to be entertained. Raditz reminds Piccolo of the fear he had when they first met. He says that he's going to put fear back into Piccolo's heart again. Piccolo just looks at him and begins to chuckle, saying that he wants to face off with him too. The two begin to battle it out, with the Z fighters watching. Raditz throws a couple of punches along with firing multiple key attacks. Piccolo dodges a couple while also letting a few hits in himself. The fight continues, but Raditz wasn't prepared for this sort of fight, as he's backed into a corner. This is when he starts playing dirty and uses any cheap method to win, such as throwing dirt in his eyes or going for cheap shots and sucker punches. Piccolo manages to land an attack towards Raditz, causing him to collapse on the ground. Piccolo tells him to get serious, saying that the power he sensed when they first met had worried him, but if this is his full power, he's disappointed. Raditz, feeling disrespected as a Saiyan, fires a blast towards Piccolo's arm, telling him good luck trying to battle now. Piccolo's face transitions from being startled into smirking. He simply says to observe, as he regrows his arm back. Piccolo looks down at the battered Raditz, telling him, "Whose spirit were you trying to break again?" Raditz feels powerless, and pleads for at least Nappa to help him. Nappa begins laughing at Raditz, saying that he's always been a weakling no matter how much power he gains. Nappa agrees to help him, and tells him to crawl back. Piccolo's fight with Raditz left him feeling a bit tired, so as an excuse to fall back himself, he tells one of the Z fighters to take his spot for now, telling them that he's just tired of fighting scum. Yamcha and Krillin step in to fight. Before they start, they tell Goku if he can handle the other Saiyan that's beside Gohan, that being Vegeta. Goku steps in and calls for Gohan to make his way over again, but nothing happens. Nappa says that the entire Z squad can fight them all at once, saying that it wouldn't be much of a difference, but Krillin tells Tien that if things are looking bad, to jump in to help, but for the most part, him and Yamcha should be more than enough. Nappa powers up, and instead of punching Tien's arm off, he launches towards Krillin, Yamcha having a bad feeling about this, pushing him out of the way, causing Yamcha's arm to fall off this time. The characters are in shock. Goku turns around in anger, but Yamcha yells at Goku to get Gohan and defeat the Saiyan who's standing in the way of his son. Krillin, feeling enraged, charges at Nappa, and the two begin fighting. Tien rushes to Yamcha's aid, tells him that he's brave to step in like that. Yamcha says that he's not much help, so he wanted to make sure Krillin was okay enough to fight. Tien tells Chaozu to wait there as he goes in to help Krillin. The two are fighting as best as they can, but it's no use, as they're beaten down to the ground. Chaozu tries to jump in, but Tien yells for him to fall back. Yamcha, in great pain, speaks with Chaozu. He tells him that even though Tien told him not to fight, he's at least asking if he can try to hold Nappa still, saying that he's going to try and use his spirit ball. Krillin gets up from the ground, telling him if he can buy some time, saying that he'll use his Destructo Disc. Tien nods his head, and charges at Nappa. Chaozu knows that Tien won't survive alone, so he gathers all of the power he can, and uses 100% of his energy to hold Nappa down, as Tien lands a couple of punches. Tien is confused as to why Nappa isn't moving, but he doesn't let it distract him as he continues to deal damage. After a few seconds, Nappa breaks out and charges at Tien, crashing him into several mountains. Piccolo, feeling okay now, is observing the fight and thinking of a plan to bring Nappa down. With enough time, Krillin throws his Destructo Disc, but not before he sees a spirit ball heading towards Nappa's way as well, and so the Destructo Disc flies towards Nappa. He believes he can take it on, but Raditz chimes in and tells him to avoid it, saying it's strong enough to slice him in half. Nappa doesn't believe him, but Vegeta yells at him to dodge it. He ends up moving away, but he moves over to Tien, which he manages to hold Nappa down long enough for the spirit ball to hit him instead. The blast is only strong enough to break his armor and leave a blast mark on his torso. Nappa turns back with so much rage that he beats Tien down with all he's got, causing him to lose consciousness. Yamcha ends up falling down, saying that at least he dealt some damage to him. Chaozu flies over to Tien, calling him to wake up, but Nappa attacks Chaozu as well. Krillin says that he'll do his best to jump in, but Piccolo finally speaks up and tells for Krillin to wait. He tells him that he can at least make a move called a special beam cannon, but he'll have to see if he can get Yamcha as well to keep Nappa still. This move is going to require him to sit still and charge up his attack, in hopes that the two of them can at least buy some time for this to happen. Krillin agrees, but Nappa throws Chaozu to the ground, with Tien waking up and having enough rage to fight back. Piccolo tells Krillin and Yamcha to strike when Tien loses. Piccolo falls back and begins to power up his move. Tien is able to deal a fair amount of damage towards Nappa, but it's not enough to make him fall, as he beats down Tien once again. This gives Krillin and Yamcha the time they need to attack. Yamcha, not having as much energy, is taken down first, but enough time passes for Krillin to help with Piccolo's move. Krillin fights with Nappa in a spot that Piccolo can fire. Just as Piccolo launches it, Nappa catches on and tries to flee, but Krillin holds him in place by using his solar flare, leaving him blinded for a moment. The blast ends up destroying Nappa, leaving Raditz and Vegeta surprised. The Z-Fighters are happy that they took him down. Goku is relieved, and says to Gohan that there's nothing to worry about, and to please make his way over. Just as when Vegeta is going to speak, Raditz cuts him off, laughing at Goku for even thinking his own son would listen to him. He says that they've molded Gohan into a powerful Saiyan who has potential to take him down. Vegeta glares at Raditz and destroys him, for not only speaking out of turn, but being useless as a fighter. Everyone is in shock as to what they saw, as Vegeta tells Gohan he will meet the same fate if he doesn't challenge his father. Gohan looks towards Vegeta and rushes directly at him to punch him in the face. He says that there's nothing he can say or do to make him hurt his friends and family. With Vegeta being the last Saiyan left, Gohan feels safe enough to fight alongside his father. Vegeta gets up and wipes the blood from his face, saying that it's too bad he didn't listen to him. But Goku tells Gohan to go over to the Z-Fighters, and that he'll take it from here. With Goku and Vegeta preparing for their fight, this is where the story ends for now. And this has been What If Raditz Took Gohan Away Part 2. This one's pretty interesting. I do like where this story is going. We see that Yamcha ends up helping and contributing a lot more than he did in the story. Piccolo uses the special beam cannon. Goku is trying to figure out a way to bring Gohan back. Gohan doesn't attack the Z-Fighters, which that was something I wanted to do. I wanted to have him kind of fight them. So I was going to figure out a way to keep Nappa and Raditz alive, and Gohan would end up having to fight Goku. But I decided to say, I think this approach is a lot better, seeing that when everyone is defeated, the Saiyans, Gohan still has enough bravery in him to step up to Vegeta and saying, I'm not going to do this. So I thought that was good. And Raditz being killed off in this situation, I think made sense to me. I think when him being a weakling in the group and losing, I don't think that Vegeta would just kind of say, well, you could stay right there, I'll just deal with Goku. If he destroyed Nappa for losing, I feel like he wouldn't make an exception for Raditz. So I feel like part 3 is going to be the end, because I feel like if I continue it, it'll probably just be the exact same story. Just you have Tien, Chaozu, Piccolo, and Yamcha alive. So part 3 might be the actual finale of this story, and we'll see what happens. The story can always change around, so we'll see. With that all being said, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. The goal for the video is about 30 likes or higher. My goal is to at least reach 2K subscribers. With that being said, this has been Diamond Legend, and I'm off.